All right. So for an arithmetic sequence here, we're given the first term and the third term, and we're supposed to find the second term. So if I kind of just draw what this looks like, I would have 2, then something, then 6, right? And I'm looking for, hey, that second term. So really, this one you could probably figure out because I should be adding the same thing to get from term to term, right? So really, I just need to figure out what's halfway between 2 and 6, which should be 4, right? That's the only way that's going to work out where I'm adding the same thing to get from term to term. So this one is going to be 4. So sometimes you can figure those out intuitively, but often you can't. If I look at this next example, well, now I've got the 4th term and the 8th term, and you could figure out what goes in right in between them, but I'm looking for the 39th term. So that's going to be more difficult, okay? So we're going to have to use a more complicated method for a problem like this, okay? So I've got this split into two parts. So what I'm going to do first is use the specific term formula, okay? The problem, though, is that I don't know what the first term is. It's not given. It is in the last problem, so I could write the formula actually in the last problem pretty easily for a specific term. But I can't very well here, at least in this format. But notice that, hey, this 1 matches up with this. So what I can do is I can just swap that out. So I'm swapping the 1 out for m, and then this would be m as well. So that then I can really use this with any terms I want, okay? So what I'm going to do, okay, actually, let me take a step back. This matches up with that, right? So in the newer version, I can plug any 2 terms into this, and I can use that to find the difference, and the difference is going to be key here, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know the first term, so I'll use the 2 terms that I do know, okay? So I'm going to plug in a sub 4 into the first slot, and then I'm going to plug in a sub 8 into that second slot. Now you could switch that around, it doesn't matter. I could have put a sub 8 here and a sub 4 there, okay? But you want to be careful when you get to the parentheses, because I put the 4 over here on the left, so I want that to match up with what goes right here, which is going to be 4, right? And then I've got the 8 in that slot, so that means I want 8 in this slot, and we're subtracting there, okay? So I've got it down to that. So I plugged in a sub 4, a sub 8, and that gave me the 4 minus 8, okay? Now what I want to do is substitute the actual values of these 2 terms because I know what they are. I know a sub 4 is 14, okay? And I know a sub 8 is 102, okay? Now you could actually do that all in one step. You could kind of skip this step, but what I find that people do is instead of putting 4 minus 8 in the parentheses, they would put 14 minus 102. But you got to make sure you're subtracting the term numbers in there, not the term values. Okay, so I did 4 minus 8 because it's the 4th term and the 8th term. I'm not doing 14 minus 102. That would be the value of those 2 terms. So that's why I use this extra step, and it's easier to avoid making that mistake if you do that. Okay, so my goal here is to find the difference, so I'm going to start simplifying. Okay, this would be negative 4 in the parentheses, okay? So I'm isolating D. I'm going to subtract 102, and that's going to give me negative 88 equals negative 4D. I just simplified that. That's negative 4D, and I'll divide by negative 4, and then D is going to come out to 22, okay? All right, so that's great. I found the difference, but I'm looking for a sub 39, okay? So here's what I want to do now, okay? I want to use this formula again. Oh, I already wrote it up there. Forgot that I had it up there. I'm using this formula because I still don't know what the first term is. I don't really need the first term though, okay? I'm looking for a sub 39. So what I'm going to do is put a sub 39 in that first position so that I've got it isolated. So when I sort out the rest of it, it'll tell me what a sub 39 is, okay? Then what I want to do in this second slot is put either of the 2 terms that I know, okay? So I could put a sub 4 in here, and I did that one year when I was explaining that, and it confused people because they thought, well, a sub wasn't a sub m. a sub 8. It was over there, but it doesn't matter. This is just generic. So I'll keep it with a sub 8. So I'll put this in as a sub 8, but actually you could put either of the terms that you know. Okay. Now I know that what the difference is, right? So I'm putting my difference in, which is 22. Okay, and then n minus m, in this case, that's going to be 39 minus 8. I'm using my new n over here. Okay, so these are my term numbers here. Okay, and then I'm thinking, what else can I do? Well, hey, I know the value of a sub 8. It's 102. And then I should be able to solve for that term value. Okay. Okay, 22 times 31. It's going to be 682. And I end up at 784. Okay. All right, there's another problem just like this on the next page, so you can pause the video and try it out if you like. Okay, just got some new, I'm still looking for a sub 39, but I got some new term values here. Okay. All right, let's try it out. All right, so I'm gonna put in a sub. Actually, I think I'm gonna put a sub 16 in that first slot. But you could put it either way. I kind of like to put the bigger term value over there and the smaller one here, just because then when I'm doing the subtraction, I've got 16 minus 10, and I've got a positive, I don't go into the negatives there. It's just one less thing that could go wrong. But it doesn't really matter. I could have switched those, right, and had 10 minus 16. Okay, then I'm plugging in my actual term values, and the difference should come out the same either way, okay? So I'm putting a 28 here. And then a sub 10 is negative 3. And I'll just go ahead and simplify that as I go. Okay. So 28 is going to equal negative 3 plus 60. I'll add 3 to both sides. Okay. And then I'll divide by 31. No, I'm not. I'm going to divide by 6. Just kidding. All right. So I got 31 over 6. All right, so hey, I got a fraction. You could convert that into a decimal if you wanted, but use the exact value, right? That just happens sometimes, so we're just going to have to deal with that, okay? So then I'm going to move over here. I'm looking for a sub 39, so I'm going to put that in that first position. Okay, now I can use either of the other numbers over here. I think I'm going to use the a sub 16 just because well, I'll keep it consistent. I put a sub 10 in that slot, so I'll stick with that, but it doesn't actually matter, okay? And then my difference, now I figured out that's 31/6, okay? And I've got 39 minus 10 in the parentheses, okay? Next up, I know the value of a sub 10, so let me plug that in. That's negative 3. Okay, and I'll start simplifying. Okay, and then in my calculator, I'm just going to 31 times 29 and divide that by 6. 31 times 29 is 899. When I divide that by 6, well, I'll show you what I get. It's not going to be an integer here, but again, that just happens sometimes. Hopefully you can see that. 31 times 29. I'm dividing this by 6 then after that, and I've got 149.83 repeating, okay? I don't want to just write 149.83 because I can just do that. Now it's exact, right? And then, hey, let's subtract 3 from this. And then I've got 146.83 repeating. Okay, I was imagining that this was going to come out to an integer, but it wasn't. So maybe I should have, been used fractions here. But hey, I can still change this into a fraction. I'm going to hit the math key, and then fraction, and then so this is equivalent to 881/6 if you wrote this as a, if you did this as a fraction. So either one of those is fine. Okay. And there is the missing term values problems. Okay, that's it. See you next time.